Welcome to The Daily Show.
Thank you.
It's been a while since I saw you. I see you at events. For a long time, I watched you reporting on the news. You were on at CNN, a familiar face. And then you took a break. You just disappeared for a while. And it's because you were writing this book, Beneath the Tamarind Tree, a story of courage, family, and the lost schoolgirls of Boko Haram.
Yeah.
For many people, Boko Haram was a story of schoolgirls who were kidnapped in Nigeria. It was a trending hashtag.
Yeah, bring back our girls.
Exactly, and then it just disappeared. What has happened since?
Well, so on April 14, 2014, just to give people a little bit of background, the girls were taken. 219 girls disappeared into the forest. And of them, only 107 are back. So this story is far from over. These girls endured years in captivity and horrific days, weeks, and months of torture, starvation, you name it.
Right.
And there's still 112 girls missing, which I think is really my motivating factor for this book.
It really is interesting that we've known the facts around the story. Some may or may not know that the girls are still missing, but what you've done in this book is really interesting because you've told it as a story, which is how I feel human beings truly understand information. You went to Nigeria,
Yeah.
and the story really happened to you.
Yes.
Like how did that come to be?
Yeah, so, I had been covering the story with CNN from the very beginning in 2014, and I'd stayed on the story. When the girls, the first batch of 21, were released in 2016,
Right.
I dropped everything and went to cover it, to meet them for the very first time. What I couldn't have foreseen was that my mother would have a catastrophic stroke in December of that same year that would take me to Nigeria. So I was actually in country. My mother was in a coma in a hospital in Nigeria. It happened in Sierra Leone, which is where I'm from, but we had to move her for surgery. And it was while I was there that someone said, these girls are going home for the very first time since their abduction.
Right.
And I had to make a decision. Do I go? Do I leave my mom in a coma to take them home? Or do I stay? And there was this big tussle between what to do, but I felt my mother would want me to honor them and to make the journey home, and that's what I did.
It is beautiful because this book is a story that weaves so many different pieces of thread together. You have the story of these girls, you have the story of your mother who grew up very much like these girls in a world where she had nothing, she made everything for herself and went on to become a really successful woman who then gave you the life that you got.
Absolutely.
And so when you look at the story, is there a part of it that connected you to these girls because of your own family?
Yeah, without a doubt. I say that there's a certain kinship that I feel to them. My mother, before she fell so tragically ill, would always refer to them as my sisters. She'd say, she felt it as well because we always discussed how they were on the same path. My mother and these girls, the path of education and it being transformational. And so for me, the moment it happened, that's what really struck me, that they were taken from a school where they should have been safe.
Right.
And they were just trying to do better because they come from such poor families. Most of their parents aren't educated, but they understood that education would make the difference. And if it wasn't for education, I wouldn't be here with you.
It's really a powerful story because you tell the stories as the girls told them to you, which is interesting because a lot of the time, people tell stories about other humans, and here it feels like these girls are telling us their stories and what happened to them when they were in captivity. We know that this is still happening. We know that the girls are still missing. We also know, unfortunately, in the book, many people don't even believe that it's true in Nigeria. They think it's fake news, which is heartbreaking. What can be done? Where do you think the journey goes? And I still want people to read the book, but what do you think happens after this story that people read?
Well, I think, the Nigerian government it's a bit like Trump. It's a bit like President Trump. They're incredibly sensitive to criticism.
Right.
And so with that being said, the spotlight being shone on the Nigerian government once more with this book will move them to re-engage with this story. And that's what I really want. The families of the 112 girls feel utterly abandoned. They feel utterly abandoned and forgotten by the world, by Nigeria. This book, I hope, will have people back on social media. Social media works, social media can...
Wow, hashtags work?
Hashtags can...
Oh, wow. Hashtags work, okay.
Hashtags work. So if we can generate a groundswell and get back to using that, get back to saying you must do more, what are you doing?
Right.
I want everyone here watching to use their voice, use their platform to hashtag, to hashtag and Nigerian government, bring back our girls, Chibok girls. It will move the needle. And I tell you how I know that, because since this book came out, the Nigerian government has reached out to me and said, please come so we can talk about this.
That is phenomenal news. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really wonderful. Wonderful journalism, a fascinating story. Beneath the Tamarind Tree is available now. Isha Sesay, everybody.